The rustic haven buzzed with warmth, its wooden beams draped in fairy lights, the air thick with the scent of cedar and roses. I stood in the center, my heart racing, a smile I couldn't tame stretching across my face. I'm Emily Carter, 29, an interior designer here in Asheville, North Carolina. Tonight was my engagement party, a dream unfolding after 3 years with Daniel Hayes, the man who made every plan feel possible. Jazz notes floated from a quartet in the corner, mingling with the clink of glasses and soft laughter. My dress hugged me just right, and Daniel's hand brushed mine, his quiet strength grounding me. This was our moment. Perfect, untouchable. Or so I thought. But a chill crept in, sharp and uninvited. My mother, Margaret Carter, sat at the front table, her posture rigid, her smile thin as a blade. She'd always been intense, ever since Liam's health scare as a teen left her hovering over him, shielding his every misstep. My brother Liam, 25, lounged beside her, his charm masking a restless edge. His laugh was too loud, his eyes darting like he was proving something to the room. I knew his story, how he'd burned through his $50,000 trust fund, a gift we both got at 18 on a doomed music app, and a shiny SUV he couldn't keep up. I'd been the careful one, stretching my fun through college and saving the rest for this wedding, for a future with Daniel. Liam. He chased flash, not stability. I pushed the unease down, focusing on the faces around me. Daniel's parents beaming. My co-worker Jenna snapping photos. Uncle Thomas, his laugh warm as whiskey. They were here for us, for love, for the life we'd built. Daniel, a software engineer, was my calm, my partner in late-night dreams of a cozy apartment, maybe a porch swing someday. I caught his eye and he winked, easing the knot in my chest. But then I saw Margaret's hands trembling slightly as she gripped her wine glass, and my stomach twisted. Liam leaned toward her, whispering his usual charm, laced with something desperate. A spoon tapped glass, sharp and clear, silencing the room. Margaret stood, her silk scarf catching the light, her face a mask of forced warmth. "Everyone," she said, her voice steady but tight, "I need your attention." I squeezed Daniel's hand, expecting a toast, a mother's pride. "Congratulations to Emily and Daniel," she began, and glasses lifted, smiles spreading. I exhaled, grateful, but her pause stretched too long, her eyes locking onto mine, cold and unyielding. "I also have an important decision to share," she said, her tone shifting, sharp as frost. "The $50,000 trust fund we gave Emily, it's going to Liam instead." The room stilled, a collective breath held. My laugh slipped out, shaky, disbelieving. "Mom, you're kidding, right?" I said, my voice light, searching for a smile. But her gaze hardened. "No, Emily," she said, her words slicing through the hush. "Liam's wedding is soon. He needs it more. You've got your job, your comfortable life. Don't be ungrateful." The last word landed like a slap, public, humiliating. My face burned, tears pricking my eyes. Guests shifted, some looking away, a cousin avoiding my gaze, already picking sides. "That's my money," I said, standing, my voice trembling but firm. "You gave it to me. No rules, no takebacks. I planned with it. Our wedding, our home." Liam leaned forward, his charm cracking. Come on, you don't need all that cash," he said, his tone coaxing, but his eyes betrayed panic, a fear of being left behind. Margaret's voice cut in, venomous. "You've always had it easy, Emily." Liam struggled. "You owe him this." My heart pounded, the room shrinking around me. Daniel's hand tightened on mine, his voice low. "This isn't fair, Margaret." but her words echoed a wound that wouldn't close. I saw judgment in the crowd, whispers starting the cost of my defiance already taking root. I wasn't just fighting for money, I was risking my family, my place in their world. And yet I stood taller. I owe no one, I said, my voice steady. Not you, not Liam. This is my life. The air crackled, the battle lines drawn, and I knew nothing would ever be the same. Margaret's words hung in the air, sharp and heavy, like a blade left unsheathed. The rustic haven's warm glow dimmed in my eyes, the chatter of guests swallowed by a ringing silence. My face burned not from a slap, but from her accusation of being ungrateful, flung at me in front of everyone I loved. I stood, my hands trembling, my heart a tangled mess of hurt and defiance. Emily Carter, 29, the careful daughter, the planner now labeled selfish for protecting what was mine. The $50,000 trust fund, my future with Daniel, was slipping through my fingers, and Margaret stood there, daring me to fight. "You can't do this, Mom," I said, my voice cracking, but loud, cutting through the hush. "That money's mine. You gave it to me, no conditions, years ago. I'm not handing it over because Liam wants a fancy wedding." Margaret's eyes flickered, a flash of something, regret maybe, but her jaw tightened. She'd always shielded Liam ever since his teenage years, when a string of bad choices left him fragile, leaning on her to fix every mess. "Emily," she said, her voice low, almost pleading, "Liam's trying to start over. He needs this more than you. You've got everything." Her hands shook, betraying the calm she tried to project. Liam leaned forward, his charm a thin mask over his unease. Come on," he said, his voice smooth but edged with panic. "You and Daniel are set. I'm the one scraping by. Help me out here." His eyes darted to the guests, craving their approval, terrified of looking small next to me. But I saw the truth. He wasn't just asking, he was demanding, hiding his fear of failure behind that cocky grin. "Help you." I snapped, stepping closer, my hurt boiling over. "You blew your fund on that app and that stupid SUV. I worked hard." "Liam, I saved. This isn't about need, it's about what's right." The room felt smaller, the air thick with whispers. Guests shifted uncomfortably, Jenna's eyes wide, a cousin looking down, already judging. Margaret's voice rose sharp and manipulative. "You've always been fine, Emily. Liam struggled, really struggled. Don't make this about you." Her words stung, twisting love into obligation. I shook my head, tears threatening. "You're choosing him again," I said, my voice breaking. "You always have, but I'm not giving up my life to fix his mistakes." Daniel stood, his hand on my shoulder, his voice calm but firm. "Margaret, this isn't fair. That fund belongs to Emily. You know it." His support steadied me. But Margaret ignored him, her gaze locked on me, her lips trembling with suppressed anger. "You'll regret this," she said, her voice a low hiss, a warning that chilled me. The threat wasn't just about money, it was about family, about the ties I was risking by standing my ground. I glanced around, catching Uncle Thomas's nod, his quiet strength urging me on, but I also saw the cost. A friend whispered to her date, their eyes flicking toward me. My defiance was splitting the room, maybe my whole world. "I don't owe you anything," I said, meeting Margaret's gaze, my voice steady now. "Not the money, not my future. I'm done letting you decide what I deserve." Liam's grin faltered, his hands clenching. Margaret's face flushed, her control slipping. The tension crackled, a storm ready to break. I knew this moment would haunt me, the stares, the whispers, the family I might lose. but I stood tall, my heart pounding with a truth I couldn't ignore. This wasn't just about $50,000. It was about me, about fighting for the life I'd built. And no one, not Margaret, not Liam, was going to take that away. The sting of Margaret's words at the rustic haven clung to me like damp Asheville fog. I'd stood my ground, refusing to let her and Liam take my $50,000 trust fund. But the cost was sinking in. Whispers followed me, guests' eyes lingering, judging as if I'd been the one to break our family. I thought the worst was over, that my defiance had drawn a line. But I was wrong. The real betrayal was creeping closer from places I never expected, and it cut deeper than any public humiliation. It started with a text from Jenna, my coworker, her words cautious. You see Liam's post on Facebook. It's weird. People are talking. My heart sank. I opened the app, scrolling to his page. There it was, a vague but vicious status. Some people act perfect but hide their greed. Family deserves better. No names, but the comments, cousins, old friends, pointed straight at me. Is this about Emily? One wrote. Kinda selfish, TBH, another replied. My chest tightened, my fingers hovering over the screen. Liam, with his easy charm and fragile ego, had weaponized social media to paint me as the villain. I saw him in my mind, his forced smile at the party, always chasing approval, terrified of being less than me. He wasn't just reckless, he was desperate. I called him, my hands shaking. Liam, take that down, I said, my voice low, furious. He laughed, a nervous edge to it. Chill, it's just a post. You're making a big deal out of nothing. But his tone betrayed him, shaky, like he knew he'd crossed a line but couldn't back down. You're trying to ruin me, I said, my voice breaking. Because I wouldn't give you my money. That's low even for you. He paused, then muttered, You don't get it. I'm drowning here, Em. You've got it all. The call ended, his words echoing. He wasn't sorry. He was scared, lashing out to feel bigger. Worse came that evening. Sarah Bennett, my best friend since high school, asked to meet at a coffee shop downtown. I thought she'd be my anchor, the one to pull me through this mess. But her eyes wouldn't meet mine, her fingers twisting her scarf. She said, her voice tight. I told your mom you lent Liam $3,000 last year to cover his rent. My breath caught. I'd helped Liam in secret, a moment of pity when he was near eviction, swearing he'd repay me. I never told anyone, not even Daniel, to spare Liam's pride. Why? I asked, my voice trembling. Sarah's face crumpled, a mix of guilt and bitterness. You've got Daniel, your career, everything. I'm stuck, Em, watching you shine. It's hard. Your mom said you were rubbing it in Liam's face, acting superior. Her words were a knife twisting deep. Margaret had taken Sarah's confession and spun it, fueling Liam's resentment. I saw Margaret's face, her trembling hands at the party. Her need to save Liam from his own failures blinding her to me. You were my family, I whispered, tears spilling. How could you? Sarah looked away, mumbling, I'm sorry, but it was too late. I walked out, the mountain air cold against my wet cheeks. Back home, Daniel held me as I sobbed, his voice steady. You've got me, Em. Uncle Thomas, too. We're enough. But the world felt smaller, crueler. At work, colleagues' glances turned, guarded whispers trailing me. Aunts and uncles stopped calling, siding with Margaret's narrative. The post-Sarah's betrayal, they weren't just attacks. They were reshaping my life, isolating me, making me question my fight. Yet deep inside a spark grew. They wanted me to break, to hand over the fund, to fade. I wouldn't. This wasn't just about money anymore. It was about my name, my truth. And I'd fight for it, no matter the cost. Liam's Facebook post and Sarah's betrayal left me raw like a wound exposed to Asheville's chilly mountain air. I'd fought to keep my $50,000 trust fund, but the cost was piling up whispers at work. Cold shoulders from cousins, a family unraveling. I thought I'd seen the worst, that Margaret and Liam's anger had peaked at the rustic haven. But they weren't done. A new blow was coming, one that shook not just my future with Daniel, but the memory of the father I'd loved. It arrived in a crisp envelope from Carter & Wells, a law firm tucked in Asheville's downtown. My hands shook as I tore it open, revealing a lawsuit. Margaret and Liam were suing me, claiming the $50,000 fund was meant only for college and that I'd misused it by saving for my wedding. The words blurred on the page, my pulse racing. Misused, I'd stretched that money through my design degree at UNC Asheville, paired it with scholarships, and saved the rest for a life with Daniel. Liam, meanwhile, had burned his on a failed app and a flashy SUV he couldn't maintain. Their claim was a lie, a desperate grab, but it hurt all the same. Margaret, who'd once braided my hair and called me her star, was dragging me to court. Liam, who I'd bailed out with my own cash, was twisting the knife. I met Rachel Nguyen, my lawyer, in her small office, art prints lining the walls. "Emily," she said, her voice calm, "this case is weak. The funds in your name, no restrictions. Their college-only story won't hold up." Relief flickered, but I pressed. "Then why are they doing this?" Rachel's eyes softened. "Margaret's protecting Liam. He's her blind spot. Always has been since his rough patches in high school. And Liam, he's scared of failing again, of you outshining him." I saw them in my mind, Margaret's tight smile at the party, her hands clenching when I defied her. Liam's nervous laugh hiding his fear of being the lesser sibling. But Rachel's next words stopped me cold. "There's something else," she said, her tone careful. "The fund's origins, they're murky. Your dad's business records show it came from a real estate deal in the 90s tied to a shady partner. It might have been questionable." My breath caught. My father, gone 5 years, had been my hero, hard-working kind, the one who taught me to dream big. The idea that his gift to me, to Liam, was tainted felt like losing him again. What happens if this comes out? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Rachel leaned forward. "The fund could be frozen, maybe seized. Your family's name would take a hit. But if we win quietly, it's yours." My heart churned. Keep the money and carry the secret, or expose the truth and risk everything. Our wedding, our apartment, my father's legacy. I thought of Margaret, her eyes avoiding mine at the party, knowing this secret and using it to control me. Liam always chasing his next big win, probably clueless but complicit. "I'm keeping it," I said, my voice firm but heavy, "for now. But I'll make it right later, donate some, do good with it." Rachel nodded. "Then we fight smart. Their case is all bluster." Leaving her office, I felt the mountains weight on my shoulders. The lawsuit wasn't just about money, it was tearing open old wounds, forcing me to question my father, my choices. At work, colleagues' glances grew sharper whispers about that Carter family drama spreading. Aunts stopped texting, siding with Margaret's version of me as the greedy one. The isolation stung, but it lit a fire. Margaret and Liam thought I'd fold, shamed by their lies and my father's shadow. They were wrong. This fund, flawed as it was mine. And I'd fight for it, not just for me, but for the truth I was starting to see clearly. the sun-bathed Blue Ridge Garden in gold Asheville's mountains. Standing watch over my wedding day, I should have been lost in joy, imagining Daniel's smile under the floral arch, but my heart raced with dread. The lawsuit. Liam's vicious post, Sarah's betrayal, the shadow of my father's tainted $50,000 fund. They clung to me like damp fog. I'd hired security for the venue, a lush outdoor space, with white chairs and roses, knowing Margaret and Liam's anger hadn't faded. In my bridal suite, adjusting my veil, I braced for their next move, my hands shaky but resolute. Guests' laughter drifted through the window, but my nerves tightened. Daniel texted, "You're my everything. We're ready." His words warmed me, but the fear lingered. I'd barred Margaret and Liam from the guest list, their photos with security orders, clear no entry. Yet the memory of Margaret's hissed warning, Liam's desperate plea, burned fresh. A knock startled me. A security guard, face grim, stepped in. "Miss Carter," he said low. "We caught a guy sneaking in the back gate. Had a speaker rigged to play a recorded message. We traced the job to your brother Liam." My breath hitched. A speaker. "What message?" I asked, my voice trembling. He hesitated, then played a clip on his phone. Liam's voice sneering. "Emily's a liar, hoarding money while her family suffers. She's no bride, she's greedy." The words stabbed, meant to echo through the garden, shaming me before everyone. I saw Liam's face, his nervous grin at the rustic haven, his need to outshine me, pushed by Margaret's whispers to fix this. A text on the guy's phone from Margaret read, "Make sure Liam steps up." She hadn't planned it, but she'd lit the fuse. "Show me, Liam," I said, my voice hard. The guard led me to a side room where Liam stood. Caught his charm, gone eyes darting. "Why, Liam?" I demanded, stepping close. My hurt raw. "You'd ruin my wedding to feel better about yourself." He flinched, his voice shaky. Mom said I had to do something. I'm not a loser, okay? I just needed them to see me." His words cracked, revealing the boy scared of failing, pushed by Margaret's blind faith in him. My heart ached, but my resolve held. "You don't get to hurt me to prove you're enough," I said, tears pricking. I turned to the guard. Was he alone? He nodded. "No sign of your mom." Relief mixed with anger. "Get him out," I said, firm, "and check the venue again. This day's mine." The guard paused. "Want to call the cops?" I looked at Liam, his defiance fading, fear in his eyes. Part of me wanted justice, but this was my wedding. "No," I said, steady. "Just make sure he's gone." As Liam was led away, I leaned against the wall, my chest tight. The speaker, his cruel message, could have shattered my day, my name. I felt the guests' eyes beyond the door, some already whispering about Carter drama. Trusting people felt harder, now the rift with Liam likely permanent. But Daniel was waiting, our love untouched by this venom. I straightened, wiping a tear, my veil catching the light. Liam had tried to break me, egged on by Margaret's pressure. He'd failed. I walked back to the suite, heart pounding, ready to claim my future, not just for me, but for the woman I was becoming. Liam's failed sabotage left a bitter taste, but the Blue Ridge Garden stood untouched, its roses swaying in Asheville's gentle breeze. I sat in the bridal suite, my white dress fanning around me, the weight of his cruel message that I was greedy, a liar still echoing in my mind. Margaret's text urging him to step up revealed her fear not just for Liam's future, but of losing him to his own failures. Liam's eyes, wide with panic when caught, showed a flicker of regret, a boy trapped by her expectations and his own insecurities. but their pain didn't erase mine. They'd tried to break me, to steal my $50,000, fund my day, my name. Yet here I was, still standing stronger than I'd ever known. I closed my eyes, the past weeks flashing by. Margaret's venom at the rustic haven, Liam's damning post, Sarah's betrayal, the lawsuit threatening my future with Daniel. Each blow had carved away my illusions about family, leaving only truth. Margaret, bound by guilt over Liam's teenage struggles, chose him over me, her pride too heavy to bend. Liam, desperate to outshine me, let envy twist him into someone I barely recognized. But I saw myself clearly now, not the dutiful daughter, but Emily Carter, 29, ready to fight for her life. A soft knock broke my thoughts. Daniel slipped in his tux, sharp, his eyes warm with worry. "Em, you good?" he asked, crouching beside me. I knotted my throat tight. Liam tried to ruin us, with that speaker, that message. But he's gone. I stopped him. My voice wavered, but my resolve held. Daniel's hand found mine, his grip steady. "You're tougher than they'll ever know," he said, his smile soft. "We're getting married today, Em. Nothing's stopping us." I leaned into him, whispering, "I'm ready, because of you." My phone buzzed a text from Rachel Nguyen, my lawyer. "Judge is favoring us. Liam's financial records are a wreck, your funds safe. Focus on your vows." Relief surged sharp and bright. The $50,000, my shield for this wedding, and our apartment was mine. The lawsuit built on Margaret's lies and Liam's greed was crumbling. But the fund's murky past, tied to my father's shady deal, still weighed on me. I'd donate part, turn its shadow into light. For now, it was my victory proof I'd held my ground. I stood smoothing my veil, my heart steady. The battles had changed me. At work, colleagues' whispers grew louder, their eyes questioning my family drama. Aunts and uncles stayed silent, choosing Margaret's side. Trust felt fragile, the rift with Liam and Margaret likely permanent. But I wasn't alone. Daniel, Uncle Thomas, Jenna, they saw me, not the lies. Every step toward this wedding was a choice to rise above their venom, to claim my joy. I wasn't just saving a fund, I was saving myself. The garden waited, guests' voices mingling with the rustle of leaves. I pictured Daniel at the arch, his steady gaze, our future unfolding. Liam's speaker, Margaret's pressure. They'd tried to silence my truth. They'd failed. My chest swelled with a fire I'd earned. This day wasn't just a wedding, it was my stand, my proof that I could face betrayal and still choose love. I lifted my chin, my veil catching the light, and stepped toward the door. The fight wasn't over, but I was ready for Daniel, for our life, for the woman I'd become. The Blue Ridge garden shimmered under Asheville's golden sun, its wildflowers swaying like a quiet promise. I stood at the aisle's edge, my white dress soft against my skin, my heart full but steady, the scars of the past months. Margaret's cruel words, Liam's hateful message, Sarah's betrayal. The fight for my $50,000 fund felt lighter now, like shadows fading at noon. This wasn't their day. It was mine and Daniel's, a victory carved from every tear, every stand I'd taken. I was Emily Carter, 29, and I'd fought for this moment. Uncle Thomas hooked his arm through mine, his eyes warm. "You're shining, Em," he whispered. "Let's do this." My throat tightened, grateful for this man who'd become my family when Margaret and Liam turned away. I heard Margaret had asked Jenna about the wedding. Her voice hesitant, but pride or fear for Liam kept her away. Liam's face flashed in my mind, his regretful glance when caught with that speaker, a boy lost in his own need to prove himself. Their absence ached, but it freed me too. The violin hummed, and guests turned their smiles soft. Jenna snapping photos, Daniel's mom dabbing her eyes. Some knew the whispers, the lawsuit, Liam's stunt, but they were here believing in us. The aisle led to Daniel, standing under a rose-draped arch, his tux simple, his gaze unwavering. He saw me, not the drama, not the lies. Each step I took was a choice. Away from Margaret's control, Liam's envy toward a love I'd earned. The mountains watched steady grounding. I took Daniel's hands, his warmth chasing my nerves. His vows came first, voice low, real. You're my home, my strength. I'll stand with you always. Tears pricked my eyes, joy so fierce it hurt. My turn. Daniel, I said, clear, you're my safe place. I promise to build with you, to choose us no matter what. The words were ours raw, true, not just vows, but a defiance of every blow I'd taken. The officiant's voice rang out, husband and wife. Cheers erupted, the garden alive with applause. Daniel's kiss was warm, sure sealing our fight. Our love, a guest murmured, she's so strong. After everything. The words sank deep, a quiet win. Margaret and Liam's absence marked a rift I'd never mend. But Daniel, Uncle Thomas, these faces, they were my family now. The reception waited, music rising, but standing there hand in hand, I knew I'd triumphed. This day, this love was mine. Our wedding's joy lingered, the Blue Ridge Gardens cheers still warm in my heart, as Daniel and I settled into life after the vows. But the fight for my $50,000 trust fund wasn't over. A week later, I sat in Rachel Nguyen's Asheville office, my stomach tight, waiting for the lawsuit's end. Margaret's control. Liam's desperate stunt with that speaker. They'd tried to strip me bare. A text from Margaret had come the night before, short, strained. I hope you're happy, Emily. No apology, just her pride clashing with guilt over pushing Liam too far. It stung, but I was done chasing her approval. Rachel's voice broke through. You won, she said, eyes bright. The judge saw through their lies. Liam's spending his app, that SUV tanked their case. The funds yours. Relief hit like sunlight, sharp freeing. Liam faced a fine for his wedding sabotage. His eyes downcast in court, a flicker of shame beneath his bravado. The $50,000, my shield for our future, was safe. But its murky roots, my father's shady deal, still haunted me. I'd donate $5,000 to a kids' art program, turning his shadow into light. We used the rest for our wedding and a down payment on a small apartment outside Asheville, our first real home. The scent of fresh paint mixed with laughter as we hung photos, Daniel's grin, my veil in the breeze. Colleagues' whispers at work softened some nodding. With respect, others still distant, swayed by Margaret's narrative. The rift with her and Liam felt final, a quiet ache. They'd chosen their path, I'd chosen mine. Daniel caught my eye, hammering a shelf, and smiled. This is us, Em. We built this. I nodded, my heart full. This wasn't just a home, it was our beginning. Earned through every tear, every stand. Morning light spilled into our Asheville apartment, warming the walls where Daniel and I hung our Blue Ridge Garden wedding photos. The fight for my $50,000 fund, Margaret's accusations. Liam's cruel message, Sarah's betrayal, felt like distant echoes now, yet they'd shaped me. Emily Carter, 29, had found my strength not just in winning, but in choosing who I'd call family. A draft text from Margaret, found weeks later, never sent, read, I didn't mean to lose you. Her pride had won her guilt too late. Liam's shamed glance, when caught, lingered in my mind. A boy trapped by her expectations, not just envy. Standing in our kitchen, coffee steaming, I saw the truth. Family isn't blood, it's those who see you. Daniel, Uncle Thomas, Jenna. They'd stood firm when Margaret and Liam chose lies. The cost was steep. No calls from aunts, whispers at work, a rift I doubted we'd mend. But I'd gained me. Here's what I learned. Set boundaries, saying no protects your worth. Plan your future saving kept me free while Liam's recklessness chained him. Rise above betrayal stings, but standing tall is your power. Choose your people. Build with those who lift you, not break you, and from my heart. Loving yourself is the hardest, bravest fight. The mountains outside stood steady like my resolve. Daniel joined me, his arm warm around me. Proud of us, he asked, voice soft. Always, I said, smiling, we're home. If my story hit you, if it sparked a fire, hit that like button. Share your fight in the comments, I'm here. Subscribe for more real stories of grit and grace. Keep choosing you.